Hi everyone, it's Aga from EurekaCrystalBeads.com and I'm here with another fun beading tutorial for you. Before I get started, just a quick reminder to check out the rest of our channel, and if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you always know when we're posting new content. In today's video, I'll be showing you how to make the fourth of our Beadway Box designs. It's called Astral Anise because it kind of looks like star anise. And we'll have it in 3 colorways. These are going to be the 3 regular colorways. This one's more monochromatic, this has more contrast, and this is the one that I'm going to show you how to make today. And this one, well, I just love purple and gold, so I had to make one in these colors. To make this, you're going to need a Beadway box, which, in case you're new, is a cute little box with a window that contains 5 tubes of beads that you're going to need to make this design, and not only one but in multiple copies. You're also going to need some thread, and for this one I've discovered that 1G is what I prefer. You can also use Fireline or Wildfire, preferably 4LB, but with 1G it just works and it has more colors to choose from, so that's what I chose. You're going to need a needle, and I'm going to be using, I think, that size 12 needle. 11 or 13 would be fine as well, although 13 might break because there's going to be some tricky passes here. You're also going to need an earring post with this kind of glue on plate. However, we're not going to glue it, we're just going to lodge it securely here in the back so that it stays and doesn't move very much. But when it comes to findings, that's all you're going to need to make these post earrings. And also I have some scissors, which I'm going to use to cut off the excess thread. Okay, why don't we start? The first thing you need to do is get some thread on your needle. You're not gonna need much. Maybe a little bit more than half a wingspan will be good, and that will be absolutely sufficient. And one more thing, just remember to check the holes of your 2-hole beads to make sure that they won't be blocked and you won't have to backtrack and do it all over again when you discover that one of the holes is blocked. So what I do is I pick up 6 Nib-bit beads, and I'm picking them up by their lower hole, so like this longer hole over there. Right, and I slid it right to the end of my thread, to the length that I'm going to be using. And I'm just gonna go straight to tying a knot in order not to have this tail kind of wagging about as I work. So I just tied a regular single knot. Now I'm gonna go the other way and just basically put my spool through it a second time. Now, don't tie it too tight. So you do want to have some wiggle room in here because the Nib-bits are kind of not evenly shaped, and you want to be able to move them around, and the shape of the whole thing will come later. Just to be sure, I'm going to make a 3rd knot from behind this time. Just to make sure that nothing will get loose. I'm gonna cut off the thread from the spool just enough so that I can hide this tail in the beads later on, and so that I can hold on to it as I work, because I like holding on to the tail thread to kind of stabilize my work. Once I get that knot done, I'm just gonna go through one of the Nib-bits. I never know how to pronounce it because I instinctively say beads, but they're bits. Okay, so at this point they're gonna be a little bit wriggly. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put a single 11 bead in between each of these beads, just the same way that I went through them now. So this lower hole. Alright, as I go through that last one here, I want to be going out from the Nib-bit bead in order to step up right through that top hole. And this is where you're at. Now, very easy, you're going to be adding the diamond beads in between the top holes of the Nib-bits. And you don't need to pull tight at this point, just make sure that they're not twisted. So just make sure that they're not like this, but that they pop into place. Right, that's the last one here. Making sure it pops into place. And this is what you end up with at this point. I'm just gonna go through one more Nib-bit, one more diamond bead, and one more Nib-bit, so that I'm coming out of the Nib-bit. And now what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to connect these diamond beads by their top holes. But if I step up by just going out of the diamond bead and going back through this hole, we're going to see the thread, the brown thread on these lovely turquoise beads. So I'm actually going to show you like a little trick, if you will. This is an 11-0, and what you do, because we're going to be adding some pretty soon, so this will just be like a shortcut. So as you can see, I'm coming out of this side. So with my 11-0, I come through that hole of the diamond bead like that. And just like that, coming out of the top hole. Alright, I'm just going to connect the diamond beads now. Their top holes, those that are not occupied by any thread yet. Just like that. And I'm going to bring them together. One more hole there. As you can see, this had to be kind of popped into place. So I'll bring them together like this. And I'm going to go through their top holes once more. Alright, now this is what we have. Now I'll be adding one 15-0 in between each of these diamond beads. And I'm going to make sure that the 15-0s end up above the thread, because in these spaces here, they're going to be sometimes wanting to pop underneath that thread that's in between those beads. So I'm just going to pick up one, add it over here. And what I do is when I'm about to pull my thread, I'm just going to pull it a little bit like this, hold my finger like that on top, and they might just listen and get on top of the thread. As you can see, this one is kind of stubborn, but don't worry, we're gonna get it up later on. Right, for this last one, you just want to be coming out of the diamond bead. So don't go through the 15 here. This is what I have with this one, which we need to push out. That's what it looks like. And now we're going to be adding 11 O's in these spaces over here. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to be adding them vertically, sort of on the same axis as the Nib-bit, like this. And as you maybe remember or can see, we were adding this 11O going from this hole of the Nib-bit over to here. So I'm going to actually do the other way. So I'm coming out of this hole here, through the 11O, and through the other top hole of the Nib-bit. Like that. So the 11O pops right under the 15O and sits like this. I'm going to go up that 11O again. And now we can go whichever way you want. We're going to be adding the 11Os in this same spaces in the same way. And this is going to kind of give this little thing its final form. So I went through the diamond bead. This is where I'm coming out of. And I'm picking up one 11O. And I'm going through that top hole of this Nib-bit here, kind of backwards. So this is the way I'm going to be going around, but I'm going through this hole kind of backwards. Now I'm going up through that 11O here. So as you can see, I'm going through it towards the diamond bead, so that when I pull, this is what happens. And now I'm going to go the other way through the diamond bead, the other way than before, than where I came from. You may have to wrestle not to go through the 15O a little bit, so just through that bead. And now we're going to wanna pop the 11O under that 15O here. So I'm just putting it a little bit up, and then I'm pulling on that thread. And once the 11O is kind of lodged over here, the 15 is not going to kind of get sucked in to the design again. I'll pick up the next 11O, and again I'm going back through that Nib-bit. And up through that 11O. And through this diamond bead over here. And I want this 11O to pop right under the 15O above it. And another one. Right, and this is where I'm coming out of. I went through the 15O as well because it doesn't matter at this point. I mean, I still have to go through the diamond bead that's next to it, because now I'll be adding a bead to cover the center of our design. So I'll be adding an 11-0 in here, and the way I do it is I go through that diamond bead here, and I'm going to pick up a single, somewhat even 11-0, and I'm gonna go through the opposite diamond bead over here on the same side, and I'm trying to not put my needle through any of the thread that is coming in here. And now, as I am on the other side of this diamond bead, I go through that 11-0 from the other side again, and just attaching it to this diamond bead from this side. And you just pop that in. The thread should hide as well, and this is what it will look like. Now I'm coming out of the diamond bead, and I'm going down through this 11-0, through either side of the top hole of the Nib-bit. And I'm stepping down to the lower hole of the Nib-bit over here. And actually, I do want to go through that 11-0 in here as well, because we're going to be making some like flower petals or just adding some adornments in here. So I'll be picking up a sequence of beads that's made out of a 15-0, an 11-0, an 8-0, an 11-0, and a 15-0, so like this. And I'm just gonna go through the next 11-0 here. And I'm gonna continue just making sure that the tail that I have here is going to be going up and not down, because it's going to be easier for us to hide it later. So another sequence, 15-0, 11-0, 8-0, 11-0, and 15-0. And we're going through this 11-0 here. I've made a full circle, and I'm coming out of this 11-0 right here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to go straight into that Nib-bit that is next to that 11-0. That was the last one that I went through. That you can pull tight to make sure that all of those petals are nice and sturdy. You can also go through all of them again if you want, to just make sure that everything is quite stiff. What we're going to be doing now is a kind of a pad or a net for our earring post to rest like surely inside. And I'm going to do this by adding 3 11-0s and going around that Nib-bit that I have here. So I'm going around the very bead that I'm going out of, and they're going to want to go there, but you want to make them go inside here. I'm going through the next Nib-bit, and now I'm picking 2 11-0s, and I'm going to go through this last 11-0 here that these two sequences are going to kind of share. So this is what I have. I can push it a little bit inside. I go through that Nib-bit that I have here again, and to add another sequence I have to go through another. Again, I pick up 2 11-0s, go through the bead that they're going to share here. And through that Nib-bit. Through the next one. 2 11 O's again. Through that one bead that they're going to share. And 2 Nib-bits. The last pair of 11 O's. And at this point I can just go through this one Nib-bit. I go through that first of these 3 over here. Now I'm adding only just one 11 O. And I'm gonna go back through that very first bead in this row that I added here. I go through that Nib-bit that I haven't been through a second ago, pull tight, and what we've made, you can just push it a little bit down into the design, and what we've made is a nice comfortable pad on which we're going to put our earring post, as it's going to be held by some more beads which we're going to add in a second, but from the other side. So it's going to be held pretty tough on both sides. And now what I'm gonna do as I'm coming out of this Nib-bit is basically almost the same as a second ago. I'm picking up 3 11 O's, and this time I'm trying to choose the wider ones because Tohos have this advantage, I think, in that they can be thinner or thicker, and this time let's choose the thicker ones. And I'm gonna go around this very same Nib-bit that I'm coming out of. Just like that, and I'm going to push it towards the center again. But this time I'm not going to only go through one next Nib-bit. Over here, I'm gonna go through 2 because we're going to be adding 3 11 O's every second Nib-bit. Again, 3 11 O's. And I'm going around that Nib-bit over here. And again, I'm skipping one Nib-bit next to it and going through that next one. And I'm gonna add 3 more 11 O's in here. Right now I'm going to go up through these 11 O's that I just added, and I'm gonna come out of the middle one. Just gonna pull once I'm here, and I'm gonna connect these 3 middle ones, 3 middle 11 O's, in the center. Like that, but before I pull tight, I want to put in my earring post, just like that. And now if I pull tight, they're just gonna grasp that earring post. I'm just gonna go through them like 3 or even 4 more times to make sure that they are nice and sturdy and nothing's gonna get loose over here. Just mind the thread so that it doesn't go around the post itself. This is what it ends up looking like. Let me just finish my thread by going down one of these beads on the side, through a nib bit on any of the sides as well. Maybe I'll go the other way because I'm hooking on some thread there. And I'll just go through one of these 11 rows in here, in between the nib bits. I'll go under these beads here and make a knot. At best a double knot, so I'm just pulling on the loops here and hiding the tail in more beads. The only thing left to do now is to hide the tail that we left in the beginning. Of course, you can also leave a longer tail or not cut off the spool at all, just to make sure that you have like some backup thread in case you cut too short a piece, or you want to like finish the top and then use the tail to finish the bottom. That's also an option. In any case, this is coming out of the nib bit, so I'll just, obviously there is a knot already that we made in the beginning, but it's always good to make another one. And again, let's just hide the tail in some more beads. And that's about it for this tutorial. I hope you liked it. I hoped it was simple but pretty enough. All of these colorways you can get at eurekacrystalbeads.com, as well as all the materials and supplies. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next one. Bye!